Good afternoon, everybody, or good morning, or good evening, or good night, or good whatever it is, wherever you are. My name is Adrian Goins. I see you all rolling into the room now. I always feel like we opened the door at a movie theater or like a Walmart on Black Friday, and then there's like this mad mob of people that comes running in while I'm already starting to talk. So we'll sit here for another few seconds while people continue to trickle into the webinar, and then we will get started. Today's masterclass is going to be epic. If you've ever been to one of our masterclasses before, you know that we talk about all sorts of things related to Kubernetes and other things, but today is really special. I personally am very excited to introduce to you Dan Akristini, who's actually joining us from Switzerland. Dan, are you with us today?
Yep. Hi, everybody.
Hey, perfect. It's always scary when I ask that question, and then there's like a few seconds of silence where I'm like, uh-oh, it's just gonna be me. So my name is Adrian
Yes,
Goins.
it is.
I am here representing Rancher, and Dan is joining us from his, I don't know, were you in your house in Switzerland? It's like nighttime over there.
Yeah, it's evening right now over here.
So you in your house, or are you still in the office?
No, no, no. I'm at home, thank God.
Okay, great. So Dan's joining from his house in Switzerland. And let me just burn through some housekeeping slides so that we can get started, because I know he has a lot of stuff to show us today. So, Rancher Masterclass, we try to keep these a little bit more focused than our normal meetups and webinars, which are notorious for running long. But following the same format, we want to encourage you to ask questions. In the little GoToWebinar panel, there's a questions section. As you think of questions, ask them there. The only thing that I ask is that so that we can keep things moving in a timely fashion, try to keep your questions on topic for what Dan is demonstrating. But beyond that, ask anything you want. And we'll pause at a couple of points throughout the webinar if there's a little bit of downtime. Otherwise, we'll leave time at the end to go through those. And I'll ask those questions and Dan will answer. And hopefully we don't put him on the spot with anything that he can't answer. If necessary, we might run a few minutes longer, but this is being recorded. So if you need to drop off, don't sweat it. This will be posted to our YouTube channel after it's done. Matthew does some editing with it back in Rancher headquarters, and then it gets posted up there for everybody. So if you do miss some stuff, you can always come back later and review it. If you are not already part of the Rancher user Slack, we encourage you to join right now. If you don't have an invitation, you can go to slack.rancher.io and request an invite, and then Slack does that whole little login thingy, and then you'll be off to the races. Once you're in there, join the masterclass channel, and that's an opportunity to talk with other people who are in this masterclass, other people from previous masterclasses, and we want that to be the place for people to go and chat about stuff. And of course, if you're on Twitter, you can tweet about this, you can post it on LinkedIn, whatever your social network du jour is, just share. I'm actually supposed to show that slide at the end, but since I have it up right now, I'll just show it now. I'll show it again at the end. We do masterclasses every week, and so that's one that's coming up next week, and that's all I'm going to tell you about it right now. So with that, I will hand this over to Dan. Here's the part where I get to find him in this list of attendees. All right, my friend, you are the presenter. Take it away.
Okay, cool. Let's see. Is everything working? I hope I can hide this somewhere so that it's not annoying for everybody. Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome. I'm going to try my best to walk you through this. It's half a presentation, half a demo, half me just talking about random things Kubernetes, specifically ARM related. And I really encourage you to ask questions because obviously this has been a pet project of mine. I've done some things in the right way, some things in the wrong way, and I'm just also happy to learn. So please, let's keep it interactive. I'll try my best to you have some sort of a storyline, and let's see how it goes. So Kubernetes The Fun Way. The main reason why I wanted to build this, other than it really looks cool, was the fact that I used to go to meetups in Amsterdam. That's where I used to be. And when everybody would ask, okay, who's running Kubernetes? Some people would raise their hands. Who's running Kubernetes in production? Some hands would go would be lowered. And then who's running Kubernetes on bare metal? And then you'd see like 3 or 4 hands raised, and it was like, oh my God, these people know what they're doing. At one point, I also raised my hand because I had my Kubernetes cluster running on these Raspberry Pis. And a friend of mine told me that it doesn't count. And I was like, why? This is why I decided to put all of this knowledge into a GitHub repo. So I hope everybody can see. Yeah. So I'm sorry to you have also access to this. Okay, perfect. If you want to check the repository for everything and follow along, it's just you don't have to type in everything. You can just do this, k.mad.md, and you'll be able to follow along if I'm going to reference something from the repository. But otherwise, we should be okay with the slides. So, warning, please don't run these commands or this entire code base in production. It is not a great idea. You'll understand later, or you might already have good hints why you shouldn't be running Ceph on USB drives. So let's start. But why? What I was actually telling you earlier on. The main idea is that, okay, other than I'll go back to the story why this was really important to me and why I wanted to make sure that I can use my Raspberry Pi cluster in production and prove that it's actually pretty difficult to do, and it's similar to running it on VMs. But in order to get it going, I had to fight very many things. So honestly, you're going to see, this is a brief, it's a teaser. 3 of our nodes are dead. The cluster is still running, fortunately, and I am extremely lucky that our master is not one of the dead nodes. So that should be pretty cool, which means we can probably continue the entire presentation and go through it. Just in case, if you have questions, post them. I will occasionally open this up and check for questions, but it's not a guarantee. Because yeah, I have to toggle in and out, and sometimes I think for the recording it's not pleasant to have that thing on the side. So
don't worry about the questions, man. I've got the questions taken care of. You can just ask me if there are questions, and I'll let you know if there are or if they're not. So you just focus on your presentation.
okay, cool. If there's around 5 questions or you see a couple of burning ones right during the slide, I'm happy to answer them instantly because I don't want people to lag behind. So
okay.
Yeah, honestly, things break, and it's really fun to have something that is broken because it really makes you understand how it works, and you're not as careful as when everything is running. So I can give you an example. We had this at work. We were having issues with one of our etcd clusters, and apparently I was new. I started my job at Swisscom not that long ago, so I was still kind of treading carefully. And I realized that I don't really know how the entire cluster network looks like. After I realized that it was broken, and okay, fortunately it was one of our test clusters and not a production one. In about 2 hours, I mapped the entire network. I knew exactly what versions of everything we were running, where our VMs located, and I managed to fix it. But in this process, I've learned way more about the network than in my first month working there. So this is what I really wanted to show you guys and girls. Once you have a cluster in a somewhat broken state, it's amazing to learn how Kubernetes works better. And yeah, let's see what else. Oh yeah, I know this is not the most exciting thing to see. It's a WordPress site, but considering what we're running on, this is pretty impressive. So right now, this is just a static image. We're going to go to the live site afterwards, but I needed to have some sort of a workload on the cluster that had both persistence and could scale. So in this case, for WordPress, the most important part was to have a database. And in order to have a database, I needed to have some sort of block storage. And that's why we were running Ceph. But basically, WordPress is not the most amazing application, but it fit the purpose because else you have to build something yourself. And honestly, the amount of time it took me to build this project, I was not really in the mood of building a separate application of persistent store that would also look nice. And I managed to mirror rancher RSS feed. So that's why we have this slide right now. And yeah, I don't know. I actually have some sort of like personal history of WordPress. This is how I probably got started with development. It was back when PHP was really important to know, especially when I was like a teenager in high school. And right now the process is super easy compared to like when you were running on your own dedicated host. And if you want to install WordPress these days on a Kubernetes cluster, it's literally just Helm install and that's it. But we're probably going to make it way more complicated. So this is how it starts. It starts with K3s. K3s was probably one of the coolest projects I've seen in a long time, specifically because I'm really into ARM computers. And this works really well. I tried running upstream Kubernetes on my Pis. It did not work out great. So this worked out way better. And just to give you an idea of the hardware that we're working on, it's basically the Pine 64. It's a special version of it, which is the Supine compute unit, I think, or compute module. Yep. And it's not that expensive. So each of the Supine modules is about $30, and the Clusterboard is about 100, and the case, if you want to make it look fancy, is about 60. And then you can add all the SD cards or the flash drives. That depends on your setup, but it's not that expensive. And the reason why this was interesting for me is because okay, fine. Not everybody can just have their own home lab setup. I've seen them on Reddit and they look amazing. Nor do I have the space where I can basically host a URAC server, which is going to make a ton of noise. This was pretty awesome and it worked really well to help me understand how Kubernetes works. So once you have everything going, so maybe we can, yeah. So I'm going to switch a bit to the GitHub repo because my presentation is just to provide us with the storyline. So let's see how actually it worked out. The main idea is that in the GitHub repo, you have the steps of how to reproduce this and how to get to that specific image. That image is literally SSHing into all of our nodes and trying to see what's happening. I think this was shortly after I installed Kubernetes, so it was working really well. Just to give you like maybe a small like explanation why K3s is amazing. Like K3s is really light. It works really well because when you're dealing with a limited amount of compute, each of these nodes has 2 gigabytes of RAM. It's very difficult to run upstream Kubernetes, specifically like etcd. You can forget about it. The nice thing about K3s is that it only requires having a SQLite database. So in this case, yes, it's not, you're not having distributed masters at this time. I think there's a couple of pull requests open or an issue regarding using RQLite as well. So that would help us run this system in a distributed state. So I don't have to pray so that my master node continues working, because as you've seen, 3 of them are dead, and I'm very happy that one of the ones that survived is the master node, because else this presentation wouldn't be possible. And it's a light version of Kubernetes. It's really easy to install, and it works great on ARM because support is really amazing. So that's how you install it. That's how I used to install it. And the thing is, it's a very simple way. The problem is I was running this as root, so I was basically piping in a curl command into bash, which is not recommended. I would never recommend this, but for my use case, for trying this out and to seeing how far I can get, it was working really well. And in the meantime, I actually found out that there is a better way of doing this. If you want to run your personal K3s cluster, and you don't want to do like piping commands, because again, I had to do this on every single worker and once on the master. But if you use this tool, so Alex Ellis, he does really cool stuff. I think I'm going to reference a couple of like his open source repositories during this like presentation. He built basically a really cool bootstrapping tool for K3s, and it literally just joins your workers to your master. You don't have to do like tmux like this, where you're basically trying to make sure that your panes are synchronized and you're connecting. Oh, by the way, I don't know if my screen switched to the tmux. Adrian, could you confirm?
Yeah, it does. It switches just fine.
Okay, cool. So in this case, you literally have to run all of the panes synchronized, and you have to make sure that you're not mistyping commands, else you're going to, like, you have to redo it again. So really cool tool. I would strongly recommend if you're trying to, like, also if somebody figures out how to do this in a nice way and wants to do a pull request to the repo, that's even better. But yeah, note, cool tool, good to use. Don't do this anymore because yeah, it takes longer. And eventually, after I installed everything, I saw this really, I mean, it worked because the Kubernetes dashboard, I know usually you don't install this, you have Prometheus, Grafana, but again, we have limited resources. So it would be really cool if you could just run the normal Kubernetes dashboard and have like a nice GUI interface about understanding what's running on our cluster. And also, I'm going to try to show this to you guys. I hope it's going to work. We're going to see how that works. And yeah, that's how it should look, but we're going to see this during the demo. Yeah, so persistent storage. It's pretty easy to run like a Kubernetes cluster on ARM devices. Like I've shown you how to do that. It's really like one command, or you use Alex Ellis's tool. But I wanted to make it like a pretty good challenge. And to do this, you could use like, I don't know if I did not, no, I didn't put it in the slide. You could have chosen to run using like the local, let's say, host path of each of the nodes, or you could have probably run some sort of NFS share. Like I have my own NAS device, so I could have mounted that. But I wanted to make it really fun. So that's what I did. I basically bought 8 flash drives because I was sure this should be possible. I wasn't sure how much like this would how long this would last, but it actually went out pretty okay. So yeah, buy flash drives, destroy flash drives because they won't fit in your case, and voila, we actually get Ceph, which is pretty insane considering this is running on ARM devices on a daemon set on each of the nodes, and it's still running. I mean, we're going to check this later on. I'm just going to talk over the presentation. I don't really have a reason to use Ceph, but it was fun, and it works with dynamically provisioned drives, which is pretty impressive considering that, again, this is not even a VM-based cluster. This is a bare metal cluster. And yeah, one more important aspect about this entire endeavor is that this cluster is running in my house. Like, it's right next to me. It's pretty silent, so I'm very happy about it. But if you want to share this with the world, you have to find some sort of way to do Ingress. So thank you, Cloudflare. Like, honestly, this helped me a lot because I don't want to run a secondary VM or a forwarder somewhere in order to be able to show my local websites or my whatever services you have on your Kubernetes cluster and expose them to the web. What Cloudflare Argo does is that it creates this reverse tunnel, and you can expose it using regular Ingress annotations in Kubernetes, which is pretty great. By the way, how are we doing with questions?
We are good with questions. We have 2 questions, one of which I was about to answer, but since you piped up, somebody's reporting that they can't connect to blog.mad.md. Is that because we're going to build it in this presentation?
It should be dead right now, so I really hope you can't connect to it.
They cannot connect to it. Okay, so it's because it's going to get built right now. And then Jeff is asking if Rook Ceph runs as an operator.
Yeah, it does.
There you go. Those are the only 2 questions right now.
Okay, cool. So the Argo tunnels. Basically, let's see, is this one? Yeah. So it's the Cloudflare Ingress controller that runs as the Argo tunnel. Argo is literally this amazing tool from Cloudflare that allows you to expose anything you have on your local network. And in my case, it's really behind 2 NATs, which is awesome. Oh yeah, by the way, regarding the operator question, you should be sure if you're running this on ARM64 because the latest version does not work. So in the GitHub repository, I think I have the latest working version for that. That's like a side note that I just remembered. But there was a couple of problems regarding Argo because Argo doesn't really work on ARMs instantly. And yeah, there are a couple of issues regarding it, and I don't know why. I built my own image for this specific deployment, but the main part of Argo is Cloudflare. So Cloudflare is the reverse tunnel, and this is also running on our cluster because we need to find a way. I think it's over here. Yeah. We wanted to basically, where is it? I really hope. Sorry, guys, I'm just going to quickly check if I have access to my Kubernetes cluster from here. I think this is how we did this, and then we installed Helm. Yeah, here we go. So Cloudflare tunnel login, and afterwards you install it using a Helm chart. Yeah, I know my commands look really weird, but that's because we're not actually running Tiller inside the cluster, and we're running Tiller on my laptop. And once you do this, you have your tunnels, and you can, like in my case, I have my Docker, and I have also the tunnel connected to my Kubernetes cluster endpoint. So I can connect to my cluster even though I'm at home. I could also VPN probably, but yeah, that's for another time. So WordPress. I really wanted to have that website going. And what happened? I really hope that was the error that you were seeing because this is basically what's happening on my cluster. And I noticed that this is happening because 3 of the nodes died. So yay. Let's see.
Yeah, that's the error that he's seeing. I know that picture. That's a fantastic picture.
I love it. Honestly, this is like the best. It's containers. What could go wrong? So I'm sharing my webcam because in some cases, I'm pretty sure you want to see my actual reaction to what's happening and how can we fix this. But I don't really have much else to explain other than like going through a GitHub repository, or if you guys have any questions, I'm happy to explain it. But I want to show you how this actually runs in production. So again, k.meta.md is like a redirect linked to the GitHub repository. And yeah, let's learn something new every time it breaks. So yeah, let's start with that. So I'm going to give you guys some time, like you can try accessing this. I'm pretty sure all of us should see exactly the same error. And I'm probably going to have to zoom this in a bit. Okay, and you're going to notice that in this case, 3 of our nodes are dead. Like let's see, maybe we can SSH into them and diagnose what's happening. So I've prepared my tmux. I don't know if, okay, this seems to be working. We're zooming in. They are going from 100 as a master node, 101, 102 till 6. So we have 7 nodes that are supposed to work. We only have 4 that are reportedly running. So what happens when we SSH? Oh, we can't even SSH into a couple of them. So that's a problem. Basically, 3 of the nodes don't work. And let's see. Because this requested password, it means it's working. This one is not. So I'm just going to, oh, no. Have to disable synchronization, which is fine. Okay, so we're going to exit this one. Then because this one is also, I mean, you could go to, I've done this before. So when this error popped up, I would actually go to the cluster, unplug one of the compute nodes, reflash it, reinstall Kubernetes, re-add it to the cluster, and then it would work. So right now, I don't think we have the time to do that because it would be pretty difficult. And also the chances of success, we don't really know what they are. So yeah, for now, we're just going to try to see what's happening on our other nodes. So this one is working, this one is also not working. Okay, so we have 4 nodes. I'm going to try to do this again. So enable my panes, 100, 103, 104, 106. Cool. I hope this works. I am not sure though. And okay, cool. Yeah, it doesn't look great because I rescaled tmux. But we have 4 nodes. We know we can SSH into them. If we do, okay, get pods, I think only the master will report. Yep. Oh, yeah, of course. I'm used to having my shortcuts. Yeah, that's fine. But, interesting. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yep. So at least this is working. If we do, I'm trying to remember exactly the commands because obviously I did not write the cheat list. I should have, but okay. Let's see. System, CTL, status, K3s, and in this case we do tab because in master should be something else. Yep, cool. Everything is running. We have our containers, but our website is still not running. Let's check. So get pods. Oh, I shouldn't do -a because I put it in the default namespace, so it should be easy for us to spot. So here we go. It's the database. The problem with WordPress, I mean, it's not really a problem. A lot of people still use MySQL, and in this case, we deployed MariaDB because it was the only available option for ARM64. Is that it really doesn't work great on ARM, and I'm having a lot of issues with the database. But it proved to be a pretty good option, as we could have just found problems and tried to understand what's happening. So this is probably what we're going to do. So let's just start slowly with our logs. And we're just going to go to MariaDB, let's say 1, and that's 1 is currently not. Okay. Fine, this seems not that bad, so let's just try to scale it. And I am trying, guys, please ask questions. I am trying to remember these commands on top of my head. Is also it's a live presentation, so it's just let's see how it goes. So scale, stateful set, oh my God. Maria, let's put it to 1. Okay. So one of them should be terminating. I think the main issue that I had is that I still have this entire persistent volume available to me, but it's not scaling well. So this is what you're going to notice whenever you're running ARM or anything like that. It's just not going to like you. It's going to fight back, and it's going to be really annoying to use. So I would strongly recommend, if you're trying to run some sort of a distributed database on a cluster such as this, don't use MySQL, don't use MariaDB, use Cockroach DB because that's really built to support this. Any questions? What so far? I know I dived pretty fast
we
into
have people attempting to assist you in troubleshooting your cluster. We have.
Awesome. Let's go. Let's hear it.
So Sarmad says MariaDB1 has no container ready.
Yep. We're going to probably kill both of them.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So
Alexander.
Oh yeah.
So are you reading questions? You want me to read them to you?
Yeah.
Oh wow, now they're coming in like crazy.
Questions. So. Okay, I'm okay. If you don't mind, I'm also going to then take questions. So let's see. Yeah, so I'm not looking at the answered questions. So I'm just going to check this. So how much does it end up costing me? So I'm spending on Argo $5 a month because that's the minimum that you have to spend on Argo. Yeah, fortunately for us, though, Ceph is actually doing fine. I can show you the dashboard in a bit.
Can you read the question before you answer it so that people know the question that you're answering?
Yeah, my bad. Sorry. Yep, sorry. Okay, cool. So let's just go back. So, okay, for ARM, yes. What would your cluster setup look like if you separated your application fabric and your data fabric? I'm looking at running Kubernetes on diskless servers and only allow data to be persistent on a different cluster, running on something like Mapper. Honestly, this is a way better decision than what I did, because in my case, having both the data nodes and the application and the workers on the same cluster turned out to be disastrous. And I'm happy that I have, I think, still 3 OSDs running for Ceph, and that means that we can still continue this and it's still working. But there is a high chance of it might just break. So I would personally just run this off an NFS share because I have a NAS at home, and it could really do this better than my current cluster. But it wouldn't break so often, so it would be for a bad presentation. Let's see. Don't use MariaDB, use what? Okay, so I think I said that you shouldn't use MariaDB or MySQL if you're running on ARM64. Yeah, specifically in a Kubernetes cluster using K3s, because I haven't found any good Helm chart. In the repository, there's a couple of YAMLs that should help you to bootstrap this fast, but it doesn't seem like it's working well. And honestly, scaling Maria is pretty hard. I would recommend using another database. In the case of WordPress, you can't because it's only MySQL-like. And you could try Postgres, but it doesn't work well. Like there's a couple of like plugins that should work with Postgres, but they don't. So just use Cockroach DB. Cockroach DB is like, can I just show you? Yeah, I think that's going to be the best. So we're going to do this. And yeah. Cool, if we can show this. Okay, awesome. So Cockroach DB has really strong replication in its core, and it works really well, specifically because there's also a rook operator for Cockroach DB. So if you check rook Cockroach DB, here we go. It's pretty easy to install, and it works, and it's out of the box, and it's Postgres wire compatible, which is awesome. But it wouldn't fit my use case because I had WordPress. So I would strongly recommend to have a look and check what Cockroach DB is. Maybe deploy it on a cluster. We had it running on drones, and it was awesome because once one was going out of range, it would come back and it would resynchronize with the rest of the cluster. It was epic. Like Cockroach DB works amazingly well. No, we are not using this right now because unfortunately, like we can't use Cockroach without deleting WordPress, which would be a great idea, but not today. Yep, again, Cockroach DB, that is the database I'm referring to. Everybody's excited about what database? Yes, so we will be debugging this in a second. I'm just going to go through the questions which I can answer right now. I think this is done. Yep, cool. Okay, so let's go back to debugging. So I've done this a while ago. I remember that there was a way to fix this. So this was not intended to be for like senior or like experienced Kubernetes operators of databases. I do this at work. So we manage our own Postgres using Stolen. That is like a way of running Postgres in high availability mode, like on Kubernetes. But here, really, things just break really badly. So, yep, this one is terminating, which is not a great thing. This one is running 1 out of 0 out of 1, so it's not passing the check. So I'm probably just going to delete everything. So I'm going to try to scale this down to like 0. See how the cluster is going to like this. And I'm probably just going to delete these pods with like, yeah, don't do this at home. Like, honestly, it's a bad idea. But it might turn out to be funny and see what else breaks. Dash force. Let's go. And let's do 1 as well. I know this is horrible to watch. Like if you're an experienced operator, this is not a great thing to see. I know, I feel your pain, but I think this might work out in our favor. So, yep, we don't have anything. Let's scale this back. So we're gonna start slowly with 1. Let's see what's happening with our pods. Yeah, by the way, yeah, I know this might be like annoying to see. We're going to check that later. I have a good story behind it, but yeah. So Maria seems to be working. So K describe pod MariaDB. Okay. I think it's going to complain right now. So it's going to say that basically there was another Maria cluster started and there's like leftovers. Help me. Yep. So K logs Maria, and it's going to tell us what we need to this cluster. Yep. Yep. So no peers found, but data exists. Fortunately, this has happened before, so I'm not absolutely terrified about the current situation. But I don't remember which command I used last time. So I'm just going to quickly check the questions and see if anybody else has a suggestion. Else, we're just going to try and see what happens. So
You said Cockroach DB on drones, and people totally they went crazy.
Oh.
So, were you running Cockroach DB like drones, like quadcopter drones?
Yep. I don't know if there's still a video about it. Let me. Oh man, let me remember. I'm going to definitely try to find a link for you guys. I think it was the hackathon a couple of years ago. It was, so before this, I used to work at a blockchain company. We're doing really crazy stuff about distributed consensus, and we're trying to run everything on low-powered hardware. It was really fun. But running, I think, MongoDB as well. Like the moment I told some operators that we were having like a flying MongoDB clusters, they lost their mind. So Cockroach DB for me personally, that was way cooler because it worked much better. So let's see if I still have access to this. Oh my God, it's been Crya, then it was drones. Let's see. Okay, writing about drones. Oh yeah, it was. Oh right, sorry guys. Actually, to me this was funny because it happened a while ago, so it's still working. So this is the previous company I used to work at. Awesome guys, we really like did amazing stuff. And yeah, you're seeing blockchain right now because afterwards we switched from Cockroach DB to using a proof of stake algorithm, but doesn't matter. But it I think we still have the video, is it? No, these are the drones. Oh, come on. Okay,
All right, so it looks like people could Google for Crya and drones, and they'll find links to it.
I'll do this honestly at the end of the presentation because it's going to sidetrack us completely because that's a long story. So yeah. I'm just going to make sure that we can get this working, and then we can talk about that during the Q&A.
Sounds good.
Okay, so let's try to force. We don't want to recovery mode. We want to new cluster. What was it? Or to force Bootstrap. Yeah, we wanted to force Bootstrap on this node. Exactly. This is exactly what we want to do. So we want to force restarting our MariaDB on this node because I'm pretty sure when the pod died, it was on one of the pods which had the storage, and for some reason it did not decouple. And then because it never came back, Kubernetes never had a time to do the finalizer, so a lot of things broke. Right now, I hope that it's starting on a different node because the other ones are dead. So if we do kget pods, here we go, it's running. This is already better. So we are going to do logs, and I hope that there's another container other than init. Cool. Okay. So if we do it again, I really hope we can just like expect to pass a health check. That would be amazing. Let's see. Okay, DB buffer, skip notification, should be fine. Oh, this is good news. Okay, so I don't know what's going to happen if 140 people are going to try to hit blog.mat.md, but let's check it out. Oh, the waiting time. We can even try scaling WordPress after this. Ooh. Okay. So I don't know, can we make a poll? Like, oh yeah, we can. But I'm curious, what do you guys prefer? Shall we try to scale the database or should we just scale WordPress and see if that can improve our response time? I'm really hoping like you can hit this website, by the way. If anybody, like if you're having issues and it's loading too slow, I'm sorry, it's running like at my house right next to me. So I'm pretty sure like whatever region of the world you are, it's going to have issues. But else we can just try scaling WordPress and see what happens. Actually, let's just try scaling WordPress right now. So this is going to be the fun part. Because before the presentation, we were talking that it'll be interesting to see what kind of workload you can run. So why not? I think we're running this as a deployment, obviously. WordPress. And let's try something like, we have, oh wait, I forgot, we only have 4 healthy nodes. Still, let's see what happens. Okay, get pods, dash watch. Oh, I really hope I didn't completely kill the cluster, but no, it's going well. So yeah, even though we only have 4 nodes running with 2 gigabytes of RAM, the problem with the current WordPress is that it's not doing a lot of optimization. So I'm not running the lightweight version because that was breaking on ARM. Again, you will see a theme here. It breaks a lot. A lot of things that you're trying to run regularly on Intel would work fine on ARM, but for some reason, some maintainers don't post like manifests for ARM64. I am not a big fan of ARM32 because it's pretty difficult to get databases running on that, and 64 bits, like, you're not going to run a 32-bit server. But it's really, it's not impossible to run everything you like on ARM. If you have a project that you really enjoy and you see that there's a problem, you can't run it on your, like, just text me, like, we can open an issue on GitHub, or if something, we can fork it and try to make it work on ARM. Because I've managed to port most of the things. It's just the other things basically just took a lot of time. And the reason, actually, this is a good, let's actually just check what's happening here. We're still like, okay, creating. This is optimistic. Let's see. Oh, I feel so sorry for this cluster. What are we doing to it? But I hope it survives, please. I mean, it wouldn't be a demo if it doesn't break. So I think we're starting to hit the timeout. Oh, this is going to be fun. Let's see what's happening to our website. If it's broken, that will be very fun. But please, I think 80 pods was a bit too optimistic. Yep, it kind of feels like it. And I think I just created another problem for me. Like, I shouldn't have done this. Oh, well. It's definitely going to get like an API timeout. Oh, that was not the smartest idea. Let's see what's happening. So I have to minimize this. We're going to have to quit this. Clear, please. We're going to do this. Oh, whoops, wrong command. Happens. And yeah, we're already SSH'd in, so that should be fine, I guess. No, I just quit, exactly. Cool. But from the delay in the reaction time from the first node, we can see that it's overloaded. Okay, it's not the worst thing, so maybe eventually we do get a response from it, but I might have to kill something, which is not great. I mean, again, you wanted a live demo. I mean, I offered a live demo. Oh, great. So we're going to, I'll stop doing this. Disable our synchronization because I want my entire screen for this. And I know that connecting to the worker is not going to help much. And yeah, I'm sorry if there are people who know tmux commands by heart. I don't use tmux a lot without like iterm2. So
Created a whole configuration of screen bindings for tmux so that I can use all my screen commands that I have muscle memory for. I don't know anything about how to actually use tmux commands.
I mean, honestly, I have this at work. A couple of my colleagues, they use like tmux and vim all the time. I'm sorry, I'm like relatively new to the Kubernetes scene. I joined when VS Code was available, so yeah. And because I know that iterm has a really good implement. Okay, we're gonna do something fun. I'm literally going to reboot the cluster because we can no longer even SSH into the master node. I'll be right back. So I'm telling you, this is pretty fun.
I guess by reboot he means remove power from and reapply power to.
Exactly. Okay, it's booting now. So in the meantime, I guess we have time for questions. Because, yeah, the blog worked. That's the first part. There's a second part of the demo, but again, the last time I increased my replica count of WordPress to 80, I had 6 available nodes. So apparently this was not the greatest idea because don't forget, since you're running one master, and by default K3s does not actually label your master as like non-workers, so you'd also run workloads on your master. which in a normal case you would never do, but in this case we are, so this is what happens. Okay, yep, of course, welcome. We are not working right now. So, some more questions.
Not a lot of questions. People were just talking about scaling WordPress, scaling the DB, what you could troubleshoot. So let's just throw out there, like, what in here do you think caused the crash? Out of RAM, CPU?
Out of RAM would have been fine. Out of CPU was basically probably the case because we couldn't even SSH into the node. So I guess it was just like, also there is a chance that it overheated. I forgot to mention this. Like, I have to show you how it's running currently at home. So live debugging, this is it. Like, it's not a live feed. I just took this about a month ago. This is still running under my TV. So there is also a chance because the CPU workload was so hot, like it also overheated, so it throttled, and we like, yep, this is what happens. I mean, I was absolutely expecting this to break. It would have been a miracle if like it really worked. So yeah. Let's see. Oh, this is promising. Do we have it? Oh. Yeah, CPU temp, this is fine. Memory usage is not that bad, but system load is pretty bad. So I guess, oh my God, sorry, I don't, like, this should be better for me because, yeah, CPU, here you go. This is our master node. But I think it's doing pretty well right now. So if we do k get nodes, please. Oh, this is awesome, it's working. Okay. I really expect, wow, I am pretty impressed. I mean, except for the unknown workloads, yeah, that might happen. Maybe I should just quickly scale this until it decides to, like, completely destroy this demo. Okay. So I expected to do that, but in the meantime, let's just check if it still works. I'm curious. Yeah, what happened? You've requested a page. It's probably because it's trying to scale this at the moment, so it doesn't know how to balance it properly. Usually in a regular Kubernetes cluster, this wouldn't be an issue. Right now, it's a bit of a problem. By the way, I don't know if we're going overtime because we're kind of incorporating questions into the demo and into the presentation. So let me know if I'm
you're still
like
good.
dragging behind.
You're still good. As long as we can end at the top of the hour and just leave me like a minute to do a little final wrap up, you've got the next 12 minutes.
Okay, awesome. So I hope this is working because else we have a problem with this. Okay, database connection problem, that's fine. We've done this before. So I'm pretty sure we're just going to do this again quickly. So okay, get pods. And in this case, I want to grep because, yeah, I'm too lazy. Grep Maria. Okay, so K logs Maria. Ooh.
John says Cloudflare is back up.
Cool. Does it mean that? No, I'm pretty sure it won't work because the database is definitely dead. So quickly scale this. No, we're not doing that again. So we're gonna do this. I'm going to do k get k delete, and this. Oh, I forgot to edit my iTerm in this case. It's fine. We're just gonna do it the slow way. So we're doing this. Cool. So we're gonna scale it back up. We're going to do again our logs quickly. I'm sorry, this is not the most interesting way of doing debugging and everything like that. I didn't know how to make this interesting both for beginners and for experienced users. And also I'm decent at what I do, but I'm not the best. So definitely trying to like equal the same level of knowledge that I have, like in order to like show you something that I know how it works. Maybe there are better ways of debugging this and faster ways of debugging this, but it would have been like, yeah, I don't know how long it would have lasted. Like, and yeah, let's just quickly see if we can fix this. Oh, pod initializing, that might be a bad thing. Oh. Oh yeah, of course. This might take a while, but at least we got a new node. So that's kind of fine. Just curious how long. Oh, okay, cool. So I guess we're going to have exactly the same problem as before. So we're just going to do k logs, and in this case, we're going to do init config. We're going to force start it again. And then I hope the WordPress pods are actually terminated. Cool, WordPress pods are terminated. If we do this, we do a dash watch. MariaDB is running already, that's cool. I hope we're also passing the health check. I mean, it should work. I mean, it's not like anything changed. Technically, maybe it will have like a sort of like delay till it rechecks again. Oh man, this is not promising. I mean, yeah, I should have like said there be dragons here, like definitely. And in the meantime, oh my God, this is working. Cool. So last thing before, like, let's try to quickly check in a minute. So k get, like, again, pods. This is like literally the command that I remember when I sleep. And the nice thing about it, since we've had this entire like restart of a cluster and all of that, our dashboard is back up. So I can scale this. The dashboard usually works really well, but for some reason I'm using the version 2 of a dashboard, which is specifically for, it has a version for ARM, and it just crashes all the time. You can see this in the number of restarts, but it works. So we're going to try to scale this quickly to deploy Kubernetes dashboard dash replicas. In this case, we're not going to do anything crazy. I hope, by the way, you can access the website by now. It should be slow, but you have 10 replicas of WordPress, so that should be fine. So we have this.
People say so.
Pretty sure you can. Okay, cool. So now if you're going to hit stats, I'm going to give you access to my cluster, basically. I hope this works because it's going to probably get pods. It's running. We have the second one running, so please. Oh, I see this. This is awesome. Okay, awesome. So I'm going to do a very stupid thing, and I'm going to share with you my token because, again, why not? No, not this one. No, we're going to the wrong thing. So token. And I have like, I don't have a cheat sheet, but I for sure have my GitHub repository somewhere available. So in this case, it's right here, and I have my documentation. And in this case, I'm pretty sure I put it in the previous one. Oh no, this is like, okay, awesome that I had a shortcut. So we're gonna go here.
Will you be expiring this token after the webinar?
I'm going to kill the cluster and restart it again. There's a better way of doing this. And right now I'm like, okay, this is still alive. It's been running for 30 days. This is a perfect moment to like finish this cluster. So let's see, it was creature comforts, I think, or the dashboard. So if command dashboard, yes, it's the last part. Okay, cool. Yeah. Okay, so this is the token. You can try grabbing it. I will probably post it in the chat here. So I don't know, where's our chat? These are the questions. This is the chat. So have fun. I don't know what's gonna happen now. Honestly, I haven't tried this before, so I'm pretty excited. It should work. Unknown error. Yeah, this is fine. It means we probably got load balanced between Cloudflare and our cluster. So login should work. Again, it's very slow because the dashboard doesn't work. It crashes a lot, but maybe it's our, like, maybe somebody, like, if somebody manages to actually connect, let me know. This is awesome because, yeah, we're going to just go to cluster, and I hope it's running on K3s. This is our custom, like, I set this to make sure that we're not connecting to some random dashboard. This is like, I've edited the YAML for this, but I don't understand why we're seeing nothing. It's probably because this keeps crashing all the time. Oh, please. I'll just do one refresh. And I guess if it works, if you guys are happy, if in the chat you're seeing like it's working for you, I'm super happy. I mean, I was expecting to see some graphs, but at least it's a working front end. I mean, yeah. And let's see, are there any more questions in the Slack channel just in case? No, these are like, oh, the Pine cluster looks amazing. I'm really happy. Like they're still producing it. I was talking to Pine64, by the way, and I was hoping that they would release like a new updated version. So honestly, if we click on nodes, it should show us at least something. Is anybody getting, let's say, any kind of data from the dashboard? Like,
If so, they're not
I don't know,
sharing.
maybe some, yeah.
They're in the process
That
of
would
hacking all
be,
your connected IoT devices.
that's fine. We're on a separated NAT right now, but yeah, no, it's fine. But that's a good idea because since we're recording, I should probably change a lot of things afterwards. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm gonna leave us on probably for another like couple of hours. Have fun. Try to reach the stats thing. I will try maybe debugging and like killing a couple of pods and restarting the Kubernetes dashboard. It works. It's not great, but yeah. So as like a final say, I think I don't have anything left in the presentation. I am super happy that this is working and we are actually showing like Rancher RSS feed on our WordPress website. And in terms of presentation, yeah. Oh yeah, this was when I was preparing presentation 2 already died. So yeah, that dashboard, at least we fixed it and now it kind of works, but it doesn't show anything. And I guess we've done a Q&A throughout the entire session. So I'm really happy. Thank you everybody for being here. I don't think we have a lot of time left for the questions. I mean, unless there's like super quick ones, I'm just going to like run through.
Yeah, everything in the questions list is just people talking about stuff. There was one
Okay.
earlier. Somebody asked why you're running K3s 1.15.4 instead of 1.16. Is it because of 1.16 API deprecation?
Oh, so I can tell you that that's also one of the reasons why we did not upgrade at work yet to 16. Like we've noticed like there's a couple of things regarding 16, so we're taking our time like fixing our YAMLs first. I don't know what's broken in my repository yet, so I think there's a couple of things that I actually referenced using extensions slash v1 beta for deployment instead of apps v1. And also, this cluster has been running for 30 days now. I did not want to update it because I was not sure I wasn't certain it's going to work. I didn't know what's going to break. So I was like, let's just keep it here. It's relatively a recent version, so we're still technically in support. So yeah.
All right. So that was the last question that I wanted to send out there. Looks like we don't have time to talk about drones running Cockroach DB unless you can fit it into the next 30 seconds.
I don't think I have specifically the Cockroach DB versions, but if you want to check like drones running, I don't think I have like I remember the video because I had it at home. I will try my best to like share it as like a side note in the GitHub repository over the next couple of days. So if you guys want to check it out, I'll definitely put a link in the GitHub repository. So just make sure you follow the GitHub repository.
Sounds good. All right, is there anything else that you want to show? If not, I'll take control back and we'll wrap it up.
No,
No?
that was it, guys. Thank you so much for your time. Please open pull requests if you have any questions. I'm usually following my GitHub repository regarding this. And thank you so much for being an awesome audience.
This was an awesome presentation. All right, I'm going to take control back, and I have one more slide. You see my one last slide?
Yep.
Cool. All right, so we do Kubernetes masterclasses every Tuesday. Next week, we have Portworx coming in to talk about data security strategies for Kubernetes. If you just go to rancher.com/Kubernetes masterclass with some hyphens in it that make kind of a little bit of sense, you will find the link to register for that. You'll also be able to see future masterclasses. We also do rodeos, lighthouse presentations, weekly training on an introduction to Kubernetes and Rancher, in addition to the masterclasses and K3s classes. There's a huge amount of information available at the Rancher website for you to learn pretty much anything about anything, self-paced or in person. I want to thank you all very much for coming. This was one of the best masterclasses that I've attended. So you will get a recording of this, or you get a link, or you get a something, and we hope to see you in a future masterclass. Thank you all so much. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, everybody.